And our guest this evening, who is James Kenworthy. He's the senior men's coach of the Surrey Park Football Club EFNL Division 3 side. He's their playing coach. Hello, James. Welcome to Balls and All. How are you doing this evening?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me. I'm doing very well, thank you.
And the side had a 58-point win over Ferntree Gully on the weekend. What did you make of that match, and what were some of the main takeaways?
It was a really impressive win. Obviously, we had 2 losses on the trot there, so we were coming into the game wanting to make a statement. We got off to a pretty decent start in that game, and we sort of were able to get into our forward line a little bit easier than Ferntree Gully and made the most of our chances in the second half.
Hi, James. Thanks for joining us this evening. You're second on the ladder at the moment, 10 wins, 3 losses. You've got a big match coming up this weekend with Coldstream, who are third on the ladder, also with 10 wins. You played them early in the year, beat them by 22 points. What is it about Coldstream that makes them a difficult side to come up against?
They've got really good inside mids. They've got a lot of experience in there. When we played them the first time round, Castry got on the end of maybe about 40 touches, I believe, something like that. And they've also got Darcy Fritsch. He's been an outstanding forward in the league for a number of years. So they're the sort of 2 guys that we need to sort of look at to shut down and get the game on our terms.
You're currently second on the ladder at the moment. What do you attribute to that? Do you think it's your forwards like Fritsch, or is there particular game plans that you're going with that's just putting you in really good position at the moment?
I think it's just sort of how we move the footy. We're still a very young side, so we've got a lot of skill and a lot of pace. Coming up the division, we've managed to get sort of a hold of sides on the outside and managed to score pretty big scores with the inclusion of the Summers boys coming back to the club.
I wanted to ask you about that move from Division 4, because you obviously Division 4 premiers last year, moving up to Division 3 and to play so well in Division 3. What was the kind of process during the off-season in terms of looking at the playing squad and where you could improve it in terms of like recruiting, or how did that go? How did that go in the off-season?
We sort of identified a few key areas that we needed to target some guys, and luckily, obviously, with a bit of success, a lot of ex-juniors wanted to come back, and a part of our recruiting process was getting guys who were had mates already at the club, which made it a lot easier to attract players. So we got a couple of key forwards in the Summers boys, a ruck, Robbie Swan, and then just recently a couple of mid-year recruits in Chris Sardis and Jack Marn, which will help us tremendously.
And just going away from Surrey Park quickly, it's really intriguing because you played with the Manchester Mosquitoes back in 2015 in the AFL Europe competition. What was that experience like, and I guess what did you take away from it?
It was awesome. Obviously, back then, it was back in 2014, 15, did the whole Europe trip as everyone sort of does. I stayed in Manchester for a year, and they actually had a 9-a-side over there in the Central Northern England League. And a lot of it is sort of expats playing, but there's a lot of English who are playing AFL, which is really good to see. So in the Central Northern England League, it's 9-a-side on rugby fields, so a little bit different to what they do in AFL London, which is the typical 18-a-side on cricket ovals. So it is a lot more sort of open game compared to normal. But yeah, it's really good that to see Aussie rules getting played all over the country. All over the world.
We always consider here that AFL and footy is such a big part of our culture and community. Being over there and playing at Manchester, what was the sort of experience like from a culture perspective, and how did particularly the English players and the locals embrace AFL over there?
It was really good. Could actually sort of liken Manchester Mosquitoes to a normal local footy club back here. Obviously, the skill level wasn't quite there, but everyone loved to get on the drinks together. So that was the pretty much main draw card, sort of hanging out as Aussies over there. So after every game, training, you'd always have a beer with the opposition and just have a yarn and all of that sort of stuff, which was really good.
And how do you, I guess, find the culture at the Surrey Park Football Club? Because your women's team as well are flying at the moment, and the club take a real importance in ensuring that both the men's and women's side have success. What is the culture sort of like?
The culture is absolutely thriving at the minute. This year we've had a real focus on a one club mentality, so all the way from the juniors to the seniors, and obviously with the women's program as well. So this year, pre-season was with the senior group and the 19s group, and we had women's join us for the warm-up games for the warm-up, and then every Thursday night this year we've had all 5 teams do the warm-up together. So just bringing that connection, and yeah, really driving that one club mentality.
And for yourself, you were involved in the Premiership side at Surrey Park last year. What was your role with that Premiership side, and how did you get involved in that?
Last year as playing coach, I was sort of pretty much missing the second half of the year due to injury, but came back for the second final and the grand final. They're just really sort of getting the guys to understand finals footy and the step up it is. Obviously, we lost the grand final the year before, so we made it sort of our mantra to not have that sort of same feeling again. We really wanted to win. So coming up against a strong outfit in Kilsyth, who I think will 1 win, 2 losses, I believe, or 2 losses and a draw. So it was right up against us I don't think many people had us winning that grand final, so to come out 10-goal victors was really, really pleasing.
Now, playing coaches are not, they're not a new phenomenon at local level. So you came from Blackburn, and when the club approached you to be both the coach and a player, how did you come across that? Like, how did that all come about, and what was your reaction to it at first, and how have you kind of embraced that?
So back in 22, the club halfway through the year wanted to change direction, and the coaching position came up, and they formally asked me, and I just said put my hand up, and then that sort of second half of the year we really changed the way we played and ended up making that grand final, and it was just a good time. Obviously, a really young group. I wanted to sort of lead the way and sort of grow the team. Obviously, the Surrey Park haven't had that much success in the recent years, so really in the back of my mind I wanted to drive that and get them to sort of up the division away from Div 4.
And what sort of expectations do you have for the remainder of the year? It's been a successful season so far.
Well, finals is pretty much everyone's objective at the start of the season, so anyone who makes finals can sort of win from there. So obviously the main aim is to go all the way. I think that's in everyone's mind who plays competitive sport, always want to win. So absolutely make finals, and then we'll just take it week by week from there.
You're up against Coldstream this weekend, who is third on the ladder. You're coming off a win, they're coming off a loss. Do you have any thoughts on how you're going to structure Saturday at all?
Well, we've got a couple of inclusions already this week coming back from injury, so a couple of inside mids, which is really handy. And then, like I was saying before, they've got a couple of really strong midfielders and Frisch down the forward line. So if we can limit their ball use going inside 50, that'll go a long way in winning the game. But yeah, restricting Frisch is sort of the key, I reckon, to taking Coldstream down.
Well, thank you so much, James, for joining us this evening on Balls and all the best of luck for the rest of the season.
Cheers. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for having me on.
James Kenworthy joining us there on Balls and All. He is the playing coach of the Surrey Park Football Club Division 3 side in the Eastern Football and Netball League.
They've got a big raffle coming up on the 3rd of August as well. So definitely recommend checking out the Surrey Park Football Club Facebook page. Tickets are only $100. There's only 1,000 tickets available. So I definitely recommend jumping in on the major raffle. The first prize is a Kia Stonic. So big prize there. But definitely get down to your local clubs this weekend and watch local footy.
Local footy, it is really important. We're going to get to another break and have more of the program right after this.